Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to go through the Lego Furniture B problem that was assigned on Wednesday. We're going to go through and show how to use Solver correctly and how to understand the situation that's here. So the first thing to do is to understand the situation for this one. It's slightly different furniture than the one we were doing before, but I've got some pictures posted on the right side, so hopefully that'll help you understand the situation a little better. You've got two products that we're making, couches and chairs. The first one, the couch, uses two large blocks on the bottom and then five small blocks around the top. That product makes $45. This should not say table, it should say chair or couch. So that was a typo on my point. Sorry about that. And then the chair uses one large block on the bottom, three small blocks around the top. Your company makes $25 profit for each chair. And then your material supplier can give you 18 large blocks and 50 small blocks each week. So the answer is, how many couches, how many chairs should you make to make the most money? And if you make that many, what will be your profit each week? So the first thing to do is to update down below. So for decision variables, I usually like to start with some number other than 1, sometimes like 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, so I can see if my math formulas are working correctly, make sure I set up the formulas correctly. So the first one is the objective function, that's the profit. So for the profit for couches, we said we made $45 in profit for each couch. For each chair, we make $25. And then in the green box over here, this one is going to be where we're going to put the formula that does the math to find out how much money that would be. So the formula is going to be the number of couches times profit per couch plus the number of chairs times profit per chair. So that's going to be equals the number of couches times profit per couch plus the number of chairs times profit per chair. Now if I do the math there, I know in this situation that would be $45 plus 2 times 25. That would add up to 95. And if I hit enter, it does come out to be 95. Looks like my formula is working correctly. All right. Next is the setup constraints. So the first constraint is the number of large blocks. So large blocks. And the second one is going to be small blocks. And so for large blocks, a couch uses 2 large blocks, so we'll put a 2 here. A chair uses 1 large block, so we'll put that there. For small blocks, the couch uses 5 small blocks, and the chair uses 3 small blocks. So our constraints are put in there correctly. Now we need to do the formulas. These formulas are the same as the profit function, the objective function. It's the number of the product times the number used. So it's going to be number of couches times number of blocks per couch plus number of chairs times the number of blocks per chair. 4 makes sense because 1 couch would use 2, 2 chairs would use 2, that would be 4. And then the next one, 5 for the couch plus 6 for 2 chairs. This should come out to be 11. Let's see if it does. The number of couches times 5 plus the number of chairs times the 3. That came out correct. And then the last thing to do before we can open Solver is to put down the limits. So our supplier said they can do 18 large blocks. They can do 50 small blocks. All right, so we could make a whole bunch of guesses. We could put different numbers in here and try to keep making the profit higher, but we're gonna let Solver solve this for us and find out what the computer will give us for an answer. So the next step, you've already set up your add-on for OpenSolver. If not, there's a video in Schoology for how to do that. But open Solver, open sidebar. The first thing to do is to double check, is this the correct sheet? Because if you're using Solver on multiple sheets in a spreadsheet, you need to make sure you change this either by clicking current sheet or by clicking and changing it if you have more than one. I only have one, so that's not important this time. Objective cell. Our objective is to make the most money. So we're going to click on the amount of money we make cell, which is D14 in this case, and click update. And we'll put the D14 up here. My objective is to make the most money, so I'll change this to maximize. And then there's only two cells that I want the computer to change the actual numbers typed into them. That's the decision variables, how many couches and chairs. So I'm going to highlight both of those and then come to variable cells and click add. And it will add B12 to C12 because those are the two that it's allowed to change. The rest are going to change, but they're formulas, so they'll change based on the two numbers typed in these two cells. So next is constraints. And there are actually three constraints. The two that we have here, plus our decision variables, we don't want to make part of a chair or part of a couch. We want to sell them all at the end of the week. So the first constraint is that the number of large blocks used has to be less than the number of large blocks we can get. So we'll click on here. We'll click the top update. That has to be less than or equal to the 18. We'll click on the lower one. We'll click save. And notice that it adds it up here. If you made a mistake, you can click on it and you can update these if you clicked in the wrong box, or you can delete it and start over. Now I'm going to make sure I have add new constraint selected, and I'm going to add the next one. So the number of small blocks has to be less than or equal to the number of small blocks that I can get. I'll save that one. And then the last one is the two decision variables have to be integers. They can't be decimals. So if you selected both of these at once with the colon, you have to select them both at once for the constraint. If you did them one at a time, you have to do them one at a time for the constraint. So that has to match up. So I've got them both selected. I'll click update. And then I'll click int because I want them to be integers. I'll save. And then I think everything is all set. So I'm going to come down here and click solve model. You'll notice that the computer will start changing these decision variables to different numbers while it's doing math trying to figure out the best answer. And it loaded the correct answer into the spreadsheet. The correct answer is 4 couches and 10 chairs would make $430. Right? So couches, 4, chairs, 10. The profit would be 430. Right, so that's the right answer. If you wanted to play around with this and try different numbers here, you will not be able to come up with any better numbers that don't use too many blocks and make even more money. So that's solving the Lego Bee problem. Make sure you let me know if you have questions.